Reese from Stuart's Kitchens. Today's episode is on how to fit 22mm laminate worktops. These are square edged, marble effect, matte finish. The joint is going to be running through that way, just for the reason that these are 3 meters long and I haven't got enough there, so I'm going to have to do a joint that way. So that gives me the 3 meters from that joint up. The joint I'm going to use is a butt joint. I'll tell you why I'm going to do a butt joint is because it's 22mm thick. It looks like quartz. And on a quartz worktop, it would be a butt joint. So we're going to butt joint this. I have mason's mitered these in the past with my 10mm mason's miter, but I'm going to do a butt joint on this. This is going to be tiled, so I need to keep it as tight as possible. I have got a bit of play, but not too much. So they're only 6mm tiles. So I'm going to get that one in there. When this one is in, then I'm going to get the full length outside, bring it in, mark it to where I need it, cut it to length, and then we can get the rest of it done. Okay, so now we're outside on the trestles, worktop's upside down. This is the edge that I need to edge with this edging. So what I'm going to do is take 5mm off. I've marked my 5mm. I've squared it across, so I know that my cut's going to be square. I've come in 9mm because that's the distance between my cutter and my guide bush. And then I've got my trusty straight edge. This is just a bit of compact laminate from an old job. Kept it because I thought that'd be good. I'm just going to clamp that on. I'm actually using the Trend rotor tip cutter, which has got changeable blades, so that when this goes blunt, these are actually reversible. I can undo these 2 bolts, take this blade out, swap it over, put it back in again, I've got a brand new blade. Good bit of kit. Okay, so let's get this routed. Please note that we always router into the face so they don't chip out the front. Then for the final pass, that now gives us a lovely clean edge to be edged. With our 1mm PVC edging, I'm going to edge this up and I'm going to use Impact multi-purpose contact adhesive to stick that to that. And now all we're going to do is leave that for a few minutes. And then when this is glued on, I've got my router. I'm not got a 1-to-1 bit in it. I've actually got a slightly, it's not 45 either. I don't know what the angle is, but it's just off both. I'd probably say it's probably a 22.5mm angle on that. And all I'm going to do is flush that off all the way around. Job's a good one. Okay, so we're not tacky anymore. And let's get it on. Make sure we're fully stuck. Make sure you've got the right side of the overhang, both sides. It's about a mil. It's about a mil. There we go, just like that. And all I'm going to do now is get my trusty mallet. And whenever I'm routering with a bearing, I always put a bit of masking tape on so that the bearing doesn't damage the worktop or the surface or whatever. So just run a bit of masking tape around. Job's a good one. That just gives you that little bit of a chamfer to match the front edge. It ain't too much either, it's just a nice amount. Do the same again this side. Now I'm just going to cut this to size and then I can go straight in. There's the offcut. Now it's ready to be dropped into place. Okay, so that's it, we're in. Right, so we get the full length in now. I'm just going to sit that on there for a second, just like so. So now what I've got to do is cut out for that boxing down there, so then goes back. Then I can move it left or right to wherever I need. So it's going to be cut out for that boxing in, but as temporary as such, so I can then move it backwards and forth wherever I need it. Sit back like that, push it up to the way I want it to be, like so. Again, I'm just going to do the same thing again there. 70mm, just make sure they're the same, just for now, about there. All I'm going to do now then, that sits under there. I'm just going to mark where my last pipe is. I'm just going to do a bit of a notch out, a bit of a cut out, just like so. When my pipe finishes there, I'm going to come there like that. This is going to get boxed in after, so it doesn't need to be too neat. You don't have to go too mad with it. And that does go under a bit more actually. So now that I'm touching my pipe, I know that from the wall, 62mm, I'm going to come out the mark, off the worktop, 62. Square that across, like so. Take that section out there for the pipe work, and then the boxing will come there. It'll hide all this anyway. Boxing will be in tile backer board, so I can tile it, job's a good one. So whenever I'm jigsawing anything like this, any like scribes, anything where you're going to see the face, you want to cut into the face using a downward cutting blade. And the blades that I use are the Bosch T101BR downward cutting blades, and they're brilliant. They're pretty much the only blade that I use. I don't bother with any others. I'm just going to cut that out. Because it cuts down, it gives you a lot cleaner cut. But the most important thing when using a downward cutting blade is that you have your pendulum. This 0 to 3 is basically the pendulum of the blade. So what happens is if you have it on 0, the blade just goes up and down, up and down. That's where you want to be at with a downward cutting blade. If you have on go 1, 2, or 3, that gives you a rounder motion, like so. And the downward cutting blades don't tend to like that. It will chip. So have it on 0 and you won't go wrong. This should, in theory, just push straight in now. So that gives me an overhang now, so I can then mark the underside of that, ready for the joint. And if this joint isn't quite square, because you're going to mark the underside, it tells you what the angle needs to be at, basically. Okay, so now that we're in place, I've marked the end of the wall, cut that off, take 1mm off with the router so it's a nice clean finish, then edge that, then I can do the joint. Okay, so now that that's overlapping, we can now scribe this joint in. So all I'm going to do is get a sharp pencil, mark the underside, open up the cupboard, and I'm going to mark that under there, because you can never guarantee that any corners are 90 degrees. So by doing it this way, you're scribing your joint in to suit whatever this is, because this is never 90. So now I can go take this onto the trestles, turn it upside down, cut that line, always cut into the edging, so we'll turn it upside down and work face down into the edging. Job's done. Bring it back in again. Then we can mark out for the hob and the sink. Take it back out, cut those out, then it's ready for bolting up. So we're going to go into the front edge so we don't spelch out all the edging. And I can get me glue on there. Really impressed with this Bostik tube stuff. Really like it. I never thought to get the tube stuff before, but I'm definitely going to get that again. And we're just going to smear that, covering all the edging. Just all covered. I'd say it's about there now. It's a bit tacky, but not wet. So, if you have a look in a minute. So when it was in place, I marked the underside. which is this line here. All I'm going to do, I'm going to add on 5mm from that line that way, rip that down with the rail saw, and then I'll router it to that line, so that then that line and that cut is perfect with the router. Push that down, mark that front edge. But it's very crucial that you take this edging off. So this is why I'm going to stand the knife down there a few times, heat that up and get that edging off. When them two butt up, it'll be lovely. Let me do that now. I'm just going to move this worktop round. I'm going to get the combo square and a sharp knife. I'm just going to lightly score this. So always just do it lightly first. There's my line there. Lightly score it. If you start forcing it, you will slip and you will knacker front edge. Lightly score it. Like so. Make sure you've got a sharp blade. Keep scoring it until you get all the way through. I'm about there now. I'm going to get my heat gun and let this heat up a little bit. I'm going to just run this along here. Get it all heated up. So, get the knife on the edge. Like so. Until it starts to come off. Just stay clear from the top. You don't want to chip or damage the front edge. Just keep that moving. It starts to come loose. When it starts to come loose like so, you get some pliers. I'm just going to get that forward for a minute, like so. And all you got to do is keep it heated up, and that will just pull off. Oh, there we go, perfect. Now that edging's off, I'm just going to put that worktop back in place. Right, so now that I'm in situ, I'm going to work out my space for my hob, which is going to be here. I've already put my centre line on the wall, so all I need to do is square that across a little bit, then add on the sizes for the hob. Then I'm going to get the sink in as well, so that can go in there. So yeah, let's get that marked out now. So in with the instructions, it shows us that the width is 560mm, the cutout, this is cutout size. I want to be 490mm in the depth and 55mm minimum from the back. And then that's obviously the size of the hob itself. So we want to be 560 by 490. Right, okay, so that's now done. We've got the hob marked out. Next job is get the sink. We're going to mark that out too. Then what I need to do is keep this sink as far away from that hob cutout as I physically can. But obviously I've got to make sure that my cutout, my hole for the tap, is still in the unit. So I'm going to go as far over as I can, so that the sink. Now, if I open that up, we're still inside there, just okay. And what I've done is I know from the front edge to the hob, it's going to be 55mm to the front. So I'm going to keep my sink 55. So all I've done is turned it over. I'm going to mark 55 to the front, like so. And then all I'm going to do is draw around that, and then come in 10mm all the way around, cut that out with the rail saw, job done. Just gonna mark that there, all the way around there. What I'm gonna do now is just come inside that 10mm all the way around, and then that is my cutout hole. There's 10mm all the way around, and we'll cut that out. We obviously don't cut this line because the sink will just fall through, so we step it in 10. That will then get siliconed all the way up. Sink gets sat in. Jobs are good. So let's take that out. We'll cut these 2 holes out. Then it's ready for our bolt holes to be routed in here and biscuited, and then we're ready to join it all up. Okay, so the bolt holes have now been done. I'll flip the worktop over and I'll just cut out the sink and the hob cut out with the rail saw. This one first, then I'll do this one. Right, so that's that now done. I'm going to get that inside. I'm going to take the little one out, put this in place, bring the little one out, do the bolt holes, then we're ready to join it all up. Okay, so there's the little one. This is going to have bolt holes put in it. And also what I am going to do before I get them ready is, in line with my bolts where these rails are, I'm going to need to drill a hole at either side so I can get access to the bolt itself. This one will be pushed underneath and wedged in. Then I need the access to this one, so I'm going to drill a hole there and there, probably go 50mm hole in the rail just so I can get in. Now I'm just going to hoover that up, get my biscuits in, get the colour fill, the bolts, get everything ready, my mallet, everything I need, my cleaner, rag, everything I need to do this joint, and then get it done. I can glue this up then, colour fill the top, very important to squeeze, loads of colour from the top, so when you put them together it squeeges out, clean it off after. Colour fill on the Gorilla Glue on the underside. You don't need to go too mad with it. I'd usually use just the PVA, but I ain't got it, so I'm going to use this stuff. It'll be fine. I'm going to go mad with it because you don't need to, because this stuff does expand a little bit. Just so it's got extra strength. I'm going to go, that's it, perfect. Now I'm going to get the colour fill. Right, we're going to run a bead of that all on the top edge, so it's nice and thick, so it squelches out when you join these together. If you miss a bit, make sure you go back. One tube. You will get 2 joints out of 1 tube, but just make sure you go in and don't go too tight with it. You go loads, chuck loads in, because you want it to spelch out. So make sure that joint is properly sealed, like so. And what I'm gonna do now, I've still got loads of that left. I'm gonna just lift this up now, just get it in, and then underneath there, I'll go under there with my drill, tighten those bolts up. Now what I'm gonna do now is get the bolts up. I'm gonna try and pop that up a little bit, like so. I'm gonna start getting the bolts tightened up, and then I can tweak it to where I need to tweak it. Okay, so that is a 22mm laminate worktop done with a butt joint. I just think it helps make it look more like quartz if you do a butt joint. You are in the right stonemason's might if you want to, but on this occasion we have done a butt joint and I think it looks perfect.